on cryptids, cults, conspiracies. Welcome to Creepy Confidential. I'm your host, Noelle, your resident weirdo Wisconsinite. I open case files on cryptids, cults, conspiracies, and otherworldly creepy, bringing you new cases, live broadcasts, and local lore. So get ready, creeps. It's Creepy Confidential. What's up, creeps? Welcome to Creepy Confidential After Dark. Of course, no script, no rules. We're just here to hang out with fellow creeps. I hope everyone's checked out the episode, which we'll get into here shortly. Today, we welcome Brenda of Horrifying History. Brenda, welcome to Creepy Confidential.
Well, thanks for having me.
Very, very stoked. So Miss Brenda and I have been working on this little cool Halloween collaboration, and it was awesome. I had so much fun.
I honestly had to ask basically what I met you via email like 2 days before.
Yeah.
And the reason, the backstory for you guys that are listening in is we're both part of a network, a podcast network called Darkcast Network.
Mm-hmm.
And someone went and decided to put her name in to see. And I actually am in charge of their talent, listening to the show, see what works. And as soon as I started listening to Creepy Confidential, I was hooked. And I think a lot of that had to, there's so many similarities between what you do and I do, and even how we present. I just was instantly hooked. And I love your sense of humor, how it's not direct like mine. It's just like a little side thing that comes in there. So I basically, of course, offered you a spot on the network. So welcome to Darkcast Network.
Awesome.
And we are happy to have you. And 2 seconds later, I'm like, we got to do something together for Halloween. We just got to, because I think we're a lot alike.
We are. And I was so excited because it was finally my chance. A lot of Darkcast I had already listened to. So it was excited to be like, oh, Creepy Tapas is on there. Horrifying History is on there. And it was fun to be, now I'm like part of the cool squad for a little while, right?
You're part of the cool kids club.
Yeah, I love it because we're all kind of into the macabre and the strange and unusual. And I agree, though. I think from the moment I started listening to Horrifying History, I actually, it was one of those where you're like, I enjoy more historical things. Mm-hmm. Like this cow, she sounds like she is as into the research as I am.
And that's the why I love you. As soon as I was like listening to the show, I'm like, finally, someone's who's obsessed with research like me. And I've heard before that comments coming to my direction is the one thing they love is we find out details and things that people don't normally talk about or know about. And I find you do the exact same thing, which I love.
And I like to, it's like maybe it's a topic that everyone's talked about, but I guarantee it, I will find something that different that you haven't found before. Like today, people didn't know that Hoyos was not killed because of TV.
And a lot of people probably didn't know before today that the whole Corpse Bride movie was based on an ancient Jewish fable.
Right? They're like, this came from somewhere. They steal bits and pieces.
Didn't come up with the idea.
And I had come across both of these Corpse Brides individually quite some time ago, and it was just, I couldn't believe the story behind them, but it was because somebody sent me La Pascualita, a picture of her, and they were like, do you think she's real? And that it started as just a conversation. I'm already doing what I do, and it became a matter of like, look at her hands, look at her eyes. She's real.
She's got some varicose veins.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm going to go and put a mannequin in my shop window, I'm not going to add that detail.
And it's going to be smooth. Like, you can't plastic. It's just, it's molded. It's very smooth. Even if you texture it's too uniform.
Right.
And she's like, it looks like I have older hands. and I mean, I'm not old, but I have older hands. And it reminded me of like hands that have been outside, they've been used like real hands, and her nails or her eyes. I was like, no, she's real.
Well, the one thing I couldn't get over with your story actually is, firstly, the guy in question was a radiology technician. correct?
Yep.
I came from healthcare. I've worked in healthcare for many years. How did a radiation technician, like a he's not a radiologist, he's not a doctor, sign a
Just a
death
tech.
certificate? How did he sign a death certificate? And people are like, yeah, that's good. We're fine
Yeah.
with that. It's like, it's equivalent to saying, like, okay, janitor,
Yeah. I need your
get us,
signature here.
get a
Yeah.
signing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like,
My pen's not working, you know?
she's diagnosed with tuberculosis. Then you're saying she has seizures, and you're just
Yeah.
giving her wine.
Yeah.
That's your big solution to save the love of your life?
Well, and
Dude,
that was the elixir, is that not
the
only did it
elixir.
contain that, yeah, it contained like the gold flakes, which people have used as medicinal value, whatever. But he was sneaking in this wolfsbane. It's extremely
Oh,
toxic,
there's a reason why it's in that Dudley Garden in London.
right?
There's a
It's in
reason
the locked, only
behind the
one
locked
person
doors.
is allowed, and yeah, the special gardener. Like, it's just insane to me.
You
corpse
know,
corpse patch dolls. I like that.
ugh,
Ghost dogs going off in the comments.
but I just don't understand why the family's like, "You know what? I know you're not a doctor. You don't even officially have the power to read the films you take,
They
but
were
it
hard
sounds
up
like a
though.
great idea for you to make up some magical stuff. Could have
Mhm.
dog poop in it, could have human lung in it. We don't really care. Just give it
Just
to
fix
our
her.
child. Just give it to
Just
our
fix
kid."
her. Yeah, that's all they cared about, and I think the fact it was that, and he preyed on that
Yes,
desperation. He preyed on the
absolutely.
fact they had no money. He had just funds coming in because he was a POW,
Mhm,
and totally preyed on that.
mhm.
Um, and I think that's ultimately what got her, like, I think she would have died anyway. TB would have killed her.
Well,
But
back then, yeah, absolutely.
it's yeah,
The survival rate was very low,
yeah,
and with how it's transmitted by droplet, that's why it would kill whole families. Like, even for
and it did.
example, right? Because and villages is because, like, for example, it'd kill a whole household. Well, it's droplet. Of
Yeah,
course, it will.
you're around
Um,
each other.
right? 6 feet, people, 6 feet.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is, what he did doesn't even describe creepy, horrible. There's not a word to describe this guy.
Yeah.
And, ugh,
At least
if
I'll say, at least in your case, she was killed from a black widow. It was outside of her control.
she
It's
couldn't control
deadly.
the spider. Spiders
She
are,
couldn't
yeah.
control it. No one did that. That was something that happened. But the fact that now she is forever
Stuck
trapped
in a window.
is, yeah, in a wedding dress. It's like the ultimate hell. It's just,
Uh, we do have ghosts that, keep on reliving their wedding day if they died on their wedding day. What do you do in a window?
yeah, you're stuck. You
You
just
get
gotta
sun
watch
bleached.
everybody. Yeah.
People just look at you and stare at you and judge your outfit.
Yeah.
It's not the way to go and spend your afterlife.
And the fact, they're still, they have to change the dress they have, because she can't wear the same thing.
I
I just
really hope those guys get more than minimum wage. Like, seriously, what does their job description look like? They're like,
yeah,
"Hi,
change dress on a corpse.
yeah, exactly. Number 1, sweep the floor. Number 2, count our cash, make sure the float bounces. Number 3, change the clothes of the corpse."
Yeah, like, it's on, like, the job duties when you read the job description. Yes, and I think what I wanna know is, if she's real, we'll say she's real. So you have a forever corpse, like, oh, is it Stalin?
Yes.
He's preserved, right? So
Yes.
they keep him around, and he's under this, like, sealed vacuum,
Right.
essentially.
To be able to keep him looking as
How
good as he is.
Yeah, and how is she just, like, chilling I mean, you leave things in the window in your car and it's trashed.
Yeah,
Like,
it
how
gets all sun bleached
it's so
out.
my poor Bigfoot in the back of my car now is a blonde. He used to be a brunette. So
So either those guys are using some secret magical formulas that we need to know about,
yeah.
or
What are they using?
I
I'm
don't
like, so we
know, but
have
it's Mexico. It can be almost anything.
yeah. So the comments, there's a question, do you have to wear what you died in forever? I think so.
Like, if you're a ghost, do you mean?
Yeah. Look at all
I
these
don't
people
know.
that are trapped in the same clothes. Like, if a
Well,
ghost died in the 1800s, how come they're not wearing, a 2012
because that's all they know.
H&M clothes?
And let's be honest, if you're like from the 1700s, you've seen what we're wearing today,
Right.
sweatpants,
You're like,
hoodies, some pasties once in a while, they'd be like, no, I'll just stay with my
yeah,
1700s garb.
I like my
I'll just throw a corset on. I'm good.
Yeah, but you never see it change. So,
No.
like, have you ever been part of a paranormal team or ghost hunted
Yes.
or anything?
Yes,
So,
I have.
right, so you get the basic, like, when you see a spirit, if you've come back to the same spot and it's residual, it always looks the same. It
Mhm,
never changes. So
mhm.
it's like maybe you are like, well, it makes you not want to go out in your pajama pants because that's
Well, it
what you're
kinda
gonna
makes me
die.
want to. You know, if I'm gonna be in the afterlife, I wanna be in the afterlife in some sweatpants, something
Be
comfortable and
comfortable,
non-binding. Like
right?
what would be worse? Dying in, like, a 1700s corset-based dress
Blech.
or sweatpants? I'm gonna
You
go with
look
the sweatpants.
divine. You're wicked uncomfortable. Me, it's my Walmart Jam Jams. I go to Walmart and I find these very stretchy, fantastic old lady Jam Jams. I
I
wanna
went
die in
to
those.
I went into a wine testing, or well, it was supposed to be wine tasting. It turned into a whole
Have
lot of
you been
wine
testing the
drinking.
wine?
Oh, we were drinking. We weren't doing the sit and spit. No, we're not
Mm-mm.
wasting our wine. We're drinking that. So that was last weekend, and let's just say a good time was had by all. And that's all we told, because I said to my girlfriend's like, "You're not going to tell what happened last weekend." And I'm like, "If you see a note on your doorstep and and it has like letters from magazine and asking for large amounts of money, that's me.
That's me.
Just EFT it over."
Yeah.
But the point of point of it is, one of the girls there, she comes out in the morning. Her curls are perfect, and she's got a little ponytail, and she's got
Yeah.
the pajamas like you, and she's got matching glasses. And I'm like, "How are you so not hungover that
Yeah.
you figured this out?" And she's like, "Oh, I planned that before I came here, my dear."
Yeah.
Oh,
She has, like, secret vitamins and
no, I mean, she planned her outfit for the next day before she showed up.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just glad that I know what my name is after yesterday.
Yeah. See, that is a young woman's sport for me. I can't do that anymore.
I
Mm-mm.
can't. I
This creep
mm,
can't handle this. I could have one of these. I'm enjoying a little beverage.
mhm.
That's it. I get one.
I
Or
just
I'm
told
like, the
I
next
couldn't
day.
tell. I told these girls I seriously cannot keep up with you because,
Mm-mm.
well, firstly, they don't remember a lot, and I wanted to, and secondly, one of my girlfriends is 5 or 4'11", and that girl, Jesus, she drank. I told her the math behind the ounces the
Yeah.
other day, and I'm like, "Do you
I knew you
realize?"
were a nerd. I
I'm like,
knew it.
because I did the math as along, because I was like, the first place it gave you like 5 wines, and they're doing 2-ounce pours. So I'm spacing it with the water and coffee, right? Because I'm being
Uh-uh.
smart about it. She didn't
Yeah.
do that.
I'm gonna take
I
these
like, do
off.
you realize you drank 19 ounces of wine
Oh my
from
god.
11 a.m. to 3,
Ugh.
and you're 5'11"? I can't help it. I was in healthcare. I do the math. It was my job.
Yeah. You're like, this is how much alcohol poisoning you have. Congratulations.
Yeah, that explains a lot.
So did they because you're in Canada, correct?
Correct.
Correct. I could oh my gosh, I could have been able to tell. So your accent, even though I'm from Wisconsin, I can tell because your accent is like it's like this level
Oh,
compared to mine.
no.
Compared to mine.
Oh,
So
no.
I mean, are they big drinkers up there?
Depends on where you are and what age you are and who you're
Yeah.
hanging out with, kinda like everybody, but
Everywhere else.
there are certain things where a drink or 2 is expected, like a hockey game.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
but
then
I don't drink beer, so I won't do it.
now do you find when you're doing like your research yeah, I know she said sorry earlier.
I do
Ghost
not
dog's
do
on it.
A. I
Yeah.
don't.
No, that's me. I do A.
My husband does.
Yeah,
Enough for both of us, actually.
right. No, I say, "Oh, yeah." I say that quite a bit. I try
Mhm.
and keep it at bay, but
I
it comes out.
try. But here's the weird thing. So I was born and raised on the West Coast of Canada, and, in Alberta, to be specific, and, I moved to Ontario when I was about 23 and spent time here, and then I moved back to Alberta, because my husband was military, so we were posted, and it's funny how the accent changes. So when I go to
Perfect
Alberta,
here.
even to visit, my twang comes back. I say "y'all" and stuff like that, and then when I go to Ontario to the east, a lot of that dissipates, and then I go back and start getting the twang again. But the
Right.
funny thing is, my husband was born and raised in Quebec. So when he jumps that border, he cannot say a T or an H together. Like, and I'll say to him, honey, just say 3 trees by the hospital. And he's like, no, because he can't do the H, he can't do
Tree
the TH, and he can't do a
3
T.
trees by the hospital.
Look at those trees.
Oh my gosh.
And then you have to take the H off.
That's Northern
Hospital.
Wisconsin says that too.
Yeah.
That was like when I started doing this and like actually recording my voice. I think that was I don't know about I don't think anybody else really cares about their accent. I was concerned that my Wisconsin accent would get in the way. And
Mhm.
then I was like, kind of like it.
Here's how I started. I had an idea. My girlfriend asked me to go on her show she started, and of course I'm going to support my girlfriend and tell a story because she asked. And then an idea popped in my head, and it didn't go away. And my thought was, no, you're not going to do a podcast. You're
Right.
in the middle of moving from like East or Western Canada to Eastern Canada, and this is a really stupid idea because you just don't have the time. And then
Right.
I'm driving across Canada, I keep on having thoughts like logos and story ideas and titles. So by the time I got here, I had my first season planned, and I'm like, okay, that's no. You're going to do 4 episodes. That's all you're allowed. No one's going to listen
Right.
ever, and that we'll just ignore this. That it never happened.
Right. I just have to get it out of my system.
Get it out of the system. 4 years later,
Here you are. See, and that's, I think I just was, I couldn't take it anymore. I just had too many ideas. I had to get them out.
yep,
Now, do you ever do, I know a lot of your stuff is kind of mostly historical. Do you ever delve into cryptids or
I have.
things like that?
I
Yeah.
have. And the funny thing is, I have had a request. Actually, I was answering an email just before we got on air. Request about the dark dogs, the black dogs, and it was a girl from the UK asking. But it's interesting because I actually just answered her back, and I said, "Yes, I am planning to do another cryptid episode, but that was going to be included for the simple fact that the lore changes. It's mostly the same.
Oh,
If you
sure.
look
That's
at the
cryptids.
whole black dog
Yeah.
thing, which I think is cool, is how throughout the world this lore stays stable. It doesn't make a lot of regional changes like a lot of the lore does, except for on our side of the world. They protect graveyards and they protect cemeteries from what we don't know. Is it
Right.
good or is it bad?
Are you
And that's
keeping
what
them in or keeping them out?
we don't
Like
know.
that's the fun part.
On our side of the world, they almost have more of a hellhoundish look and
Right.
feel, right?
Right. Yeah.
So yes, I'm going to be doing another cryptid episodes, and I got to put the black dogs in because I promised.
Yeah. See, that's my bread and butter.
Ah, you're all about the cryptids.
I like the cryptids. I like the, the paranormal. I like the aliens. Oh my God. I can't wait for it to start diving more into I have so many aliens things. I don't know do they have the show Arrested Development where you are? Have you
Yes.
ever seen that show?
Mhm.
So Charlie, when he's standing in front of the board with all the red
Yeah.
wire, oftentimes that's how my husband finds me. And
Well,
I'm
the
like,
thing with
can you believe that this alien from this part of the States is connected to this alien on this part of the States?
well, the problem with me, because I'm historical based, I can't do a lot of aliens, but I never said that there isn't historical alien stories. So we actually
Oh
did
yeah.
Betty
Like
and
Bart,
Barney Hill recently,
I've done that one.
but
Yep.
there's 2 cases here in Canada that are very, very well known, and I'll get you guys to go and check it out. It's in my catalog, but one of them's out of British
Her info's
Columbia.
down below, guys.
And one of the guys, he was actually allegedly taken away, or was he blown up? We don't really know.
Right.
There's proof to both sides, and that's what we do. We say the proof on both sides. You make up your mind. The other
Right.
story is about a gentleman. It was actually near the United States border, and he seen a UFO, and he actually came in contact with it physically, and he got severe
Ooh.
radiation burns. He ended up having to go to the hospital in Winnipeg, in Manitoba.
Oh.
He was very severely
And
ill
this
for
is
quite a
recent?
while.
Recent?
This is no, this was in the I think it was the late 70s, early 80s. He
Oh,
was
so that
actually
was the resurgence. Yeah.
right. He was a rock hunter. Is what he was. And so needless to say, he got very severely ill. But the problem was this guy was a military police officer when he lived back in Poland. He never believed it was a UFO, even though everybody else pointed fingers to yes, it was. He believed it was some sort of experimental craft or what have you. But the problem with all this was they wrote a couple books on it, this and that. It was investigated by the U.S. Government, the Canadian government, the U.S.
Okay.
military, the Canadian military, Project Blue Book. I could keep it going on, and
I
basically they
love
all
Blue Book.
say the same thing: is we can't say it wasn't.
Sure.
It was it is actually the most credible UFO sighting there is, and it happened near a little lake where I drove past. Now, did I see aliens there? No, I didn't. I see
Yeah.
a couple ducks. That was about it.
Have you, because you're on Creepy Confidential, now comes the creepy comments. Have you ever seen or had an alien experience yourself?
No, but I think maybe a lot of people I know are aliens because they're very weird.
I mean, yeah. Humans are
Now,
weird.
now I grew up, like I said, in the prairies out in Alberta, so there's a lot of open skies, and there's a lot of things there that you can see. And there, I'll give you an example of one. And here's why I would think that I'd be egotistical if I said there wasn't life somewhere else. We can't be that egotistical that there's not another
Sure.
planet in our vast universe
Agreed.
that doesn't have life. With that
Mhm.
said, I in one of my episodes, I told the story about one of my father's friends, and he has now passed
Okay.
recently. But this gentleman, okay, this is how much of a country redneck nerd I grew up in the country, okay? I was in 4-H with
Okay.
his kids. I raised cattle as a
Yeah.
child. And,
Good for you. You're
so
officially more country than me.
so this guy, I've known him ever since I was a small kid. I've known all his kids, and that guy, he's no, there's no way he's lying. And what he found is actually of the year that he reported it, and I'm not giving family names for a reason,
Mhm.
but it was actually validated by the Canadian government as a true sighting, and it was crop circles on his property. And it happened for several years in a row in the same spot. And
So
so
is Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
so
into it.
so with that said, there's I totally believe the guy. And he did the right thing. He reported it to the right channels, but when asked, when my dad was talking to him, "Do you believe it's aliens? Do you believe it?" He goes, "I just the way it was done. There's no way." He said, "That's redneck kids out here are going to do it.
Right.
They're just not that smart." He said, which he's not wrong. But the point of it, the point of it is, but even if the Canadian government believes him, you kind of have to go and say, he's got a point.
I mean, so did Canada say, because so here in America, the big thing is that crop circles have kind of been debunked, right? They
Hmm.
basically say it's someone out there with a couple 2x4s, people
Yeah.
doing that. Is Canada still kind of on the, from someone who lives there? I can go look it up, but from
Hmm.
someone who actually lives there, are they still kind of like, it could
I
be
don't.
aliens?
Um, I don't think that we've ruled everything out. We'll leave it at that.
Right.
Now it's funny because there's a lot of stories, like I said, a lot of stories, Canadian stories that people really should check out, especially that one by Falcon Lake. Big hint of Falcon Lake, and that's the one story that I can't. There's always something with a story that you can kind of poke a hole with, and that one you
Right.
just can't. You just can't poke a hole in it. I tried,
And you
and
can't find it.
I think the biggest
Like
thing,
there's
the
it's a
convincing
chink.
point well, the big convincing point for me is the guy who went through it, who's seen what he's seen, the one who had radiation poisoning, who almost died, all along he's like, "No, I don't think it's a UFO. It's probably just like a US experimental ship." Like, he was
Right.
convinced. And if he was trying to do it for UFO fame, why would he say it wasn't?
Right. Well, so I think then, because it maybe adds credibility to you,
Mhm,
because I feel if instantly you're on the yeah game, the yay game where you're like, oh yeah, it's definitely aliens.
mhm.
People are like, that person wears a tinfoil hat. Or if you're like, but I don't believe, there's no way.
Mhm,
Then they're like, I think they can kind of sway towards well, it gives it credibility because he doesn't believe. It's
mhm.
such a tricky situation
It
that
is.
I want to believe. See, now
Me too.
I've seen, now I speculate that I have seen an alien craft. I saw something that there's no way that a aircraft that I know can do this.
Mhm,
And that's why I was like, now I have to kind of, I'm afraid of aliens in a sense, because I don't want to happen what happened to Barney and Betty, right?
well, here's
A,
the
leave my
problem.
dress alone, first of all,
Yeah. She
because
ripped their
it's
dress
been
and scuffed the shoes? Really?
it's vintage, okay?
Mhm.
I have the same dress as Betty, which is kind of
Oh,
creepy
nice.
because I collect vintage. It's
Yes.
purple, only mine has started to kind of fade with time.
Mhm.
Although I had a friend of mine go, maybe that was aliens got you in that one too. I was like, shut up. But it started to fade. And then the fact, but they returned her earrings.
Yeah,
So that's nice.
that's nice of them, I thought.
I was like,
But the thing is
it's
about here's
creepy.
the thing is about the Betty Bar and Barney, because I did an episode on it recently, and as I was going through it, again, all the stories before them was all aliens are friendly. They're like big care bears, and you just want to hug
Right.
them, and they're here to give us peace. And then after Betty and Barney, everybody just went that way. And that is the problem with anything that has to do with paranormal, supernatural, cryptids, or aliens. All the same thing. There's too many. people wanting to jump on that bandwagon and
Yeah.
getting some quick fame to
Way too many.
right, that it takes away from the truth of the real stories that are out there.
Mhm.
And then you have all those people claiming that, aliens just probe everybody up the butt, which I have a problem with, because that is the one that stops me right there. Is
Yeah.
why does an alien with all this advanced technology that can fly across our universe at light
Go for the
speed
backside.
need to go
Yeah.
and put something in the butt? I
I
don't
don't
get
I'm
it.
I don't either. I really don't. It
But
makes no
that's
sense
not
to
what
me.
Betty said, and that's not what Barney said. It just kinda took off from there. So, I tend to believe, especially considering what their jobs were, what they were in the community, they were community leaders, especially when,
Mhm.
being part of the NAACP, things like that. I have a hard time believing that one was faked.
I agree. If you are, because they were already up against so much adversity because of
Yes,
the times,
yes.
they were a
Interracial
biracial
couple, yeah.
couple. Why would you bring more potentially like
Right,
pitchforks your direction? I
exactly.
agree. I loved that story. I'd been holding
Mhm,
on to that one for a while, and then I think the more that I read about it and read about it, I either found like their drawings, or I found like
mhm.
the way that their interviews were. And I think the most frightful thing that made my heart pound was when the playback of them describing
Yeah.
their how what like I'm so like that whole like I'm just worried about, you could hear her voice, and she sounded terrified,
But the
really
interesting thing is to
terrified.
hear the difference between and look at the psychology behind their reactions. For example, um, Betty was into UFOs before, right?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So she came off as a little bit more friendly per se towards them, or not that I wouldn't say less scared, but more curious. Whereas her husband, on the other hand, who was a World War II veteran, one of his comments is he compared the leader to Hitler. So of course he's going to be more fearful. Right? He's
Right.
in a situation, he's with the love of his life,
Protect
trying
her.
to protect her. He doesn't know where she's at. He
Yeah.
was trained to be a soldier. Of course
Mhm.
he would react like that. But a lot of people, when you look at the psychology, are saying, "Oh, well, that's why it's created memories because of that." And I'm like, no, I don't see it. My husband, again, was a soldier for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And that is just how they are. They get very protective of those they love very fast.
Same with mine. Yeah,
Mhm.
mine we're both veterans. But I
You
I
get
didn't
it.
see I didn't see anything. I was safe the whole time.
Mhm.
I had a cool, crazy job, but I was never in danger. Where my husband was different, like
Mhm.
he's 10 years older than me. He was
Mhm.
in during a different conflict,
Mhm.
and he saw things. And
Yeah.
same, yes, he gets very, very, and not like in a weird way protective, but
Yes.
like that is the first person I care about is my wife.
Yes.
Although they should have cared about the dog too.
Uh, I I was really upset about the dog. I'm glad the dog was good.
Yes.
But did they put pokey needles in their abdomen, or did they just leave her alone in the car for hours? Like,
Yeah,
what happened to the dog?
that poor dog.
I was so upset about the dog.
Yes. That's what prompted me. Ghost dog. He's in the comments today. He says Barney and Betty Hill story. Cool. Yeah, but
But is
is
the
the dog
dog okay?
okay?
I don't care about the humans. What
Yeah.
ended up with the dog?
Tell me about the dog. Yes, I agree. Well, especially I was like, but it's a wiener dog. I want to know what's wrong. Is it okay?
He's just a little
I
thing.
know. And that see, and I just it seems like though once you have one story and you
Mhm.
have one example, now everybody then builds
Yes.
off of that example.
Yes.
So it's hard to then validate because they put out it's hard because they want to put out all of the drawings and the pictures and everything, but now you've
Mhm.
given fuel to every single person.
Absolutely. And then other people, and you see it even back in history and today, people still jump on that bandwagon. How many people said they were from the royal family, for example, that weren't?
Right.
You see what I'm getting
Right.
at? Everybody is
Hmm.
going to try to get their 20 seconds of fame. It happened back then, it still happens today. And I think that is a huge problem in the paranormal, supernatural, alien, whatever community. It really is preventing a lot of the truths to come out and to be able to be studied correctly because everybody just presumes it's a fake. Leave the dog, take all the humans.
And I think it causes so many, it's like that with everything. You get I hate to dog on Zach Baggins, right? But in the
Oh, feel free.
paranormal
I do
world,
too.
because I entertainment value, you better believe that I will curl up in my jams, have some popcorn and M&Ms, and watch stupid ghost adventures, even though I have been a paranormal investigator for 15 years, and I think that they're full of poo-poo.
Well,
Absolutely.
well, if it makes you feel any better, in January, I'm going to Vegas. And where do
Fun.
I got tickets? Zach
The
Baggins
museum.
Haunted Museum.
Right.
And I even said, I text my girlfriend because a couple of us friends are going. I said, Zach Baggins sucks. I'm not supporting Zach Baggins, even though my money is going in his bank account. I just want to
Yes.
see it's that museum.
Because
So
there's so many, it's the objects for
it's
me.
the
For
objects for me,
me, it's the
absolutely.
objects.
Yes.
I have valves that were from the original building in Western State
Mhm,
hospital out in Washington State. They
mhm.
tore it down,
Yeah.
but they're like literally these metal valves, and I'm like, well, to me, I think that there's mojo there. If I
Mhm.
go like it's something where those are the kind of things I want to see.
Yes.
Show me Bela Lugosi's mirror. A,
Yes.
I'm a Bela Lugosi fan.
Mhm.
B, I want to see this. Do I believe that the glass holds some sort of mojo energy? Sure, I do.
I
I'm
want to
not
see
like
that.
crazy about it, but I'm not going there because of that of Zach Baggins. I'm
No.
going there because of these cool historical
Right.
pieces that he has.
And it really
I
upset
haven't
my
been yet, but
husband.
I want to.
Oh, I'll let you know. I'll be posting pictures. But it was so funny because my girlfriend, who I thought never would be into that, she's like, "Oh yes, we're totally going to that." My husband, literally, because we're all texting, he's like, "Seriously, I'll wait in the room." And I'm like,
Oh
"Be
my
dramatic
god.
then. Stay home."
Yeah.
He's like,
Okay,
"Okay,
drama
I'll."
queen.
And then he said, "Okay, I'll go." So we've been purposely just feeding our text stream with certain things saying we want to go, but it's not true. Things that we
Right.
know he's going to hate. Like I'm
Just
like,
to just to fire him up.
oh, he's not a Christina Aguilera fan by far. And so what I'm like, "Oh, Christina Aguilera is gonna have her residency and it's starting at midnight," which I'm thinking he's gonna
For
be like,
Whitney there.
"Let's do it." And then she's like, "Yes." And then because his best friend's female, she's texting me back and she's like, "He's gonna blow his top." I know, it's great, isn't it? He's like, "I'll wait in the room." We're like, "Yeah, see you later."
You're like, "Okay, bye."
Fine, I'll have to go then, I guess. Yes, drama man.
And but that's I mean, but that's it's similar in our world. You get these fun, crazy investigations or buildings or places, and inevitably there's people who are like, "I think it's stupid. I'm not going."
I
It's
know.
like, well, then
Always.
don't.
But now he's looked it up. He looked up the museum and he's like, "I don't understand why you want to go because you don't like Zach Bagans." I said, "I don't like how he is on the show and their whole
Yeah.
ideology of doing the be mean to ghosts and try to like threaten them and stuff." Like, for example, oh, what is that other show? There's another show on there that they actually are treat them with respect. I was
Ghost
watching recently.
hunters?
No.
That's old school.
Nope, nope. There's another one. It'll come to me later. A girl and Amy and the other guy, it's a guy and a girl.
Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and
Can't remember
they're
what you're talking about, but
respectful,
yeah.
and I'm thinking, I've been on investigation, so have you. Why
Yeah.
not be respectful? Do you think it's fun being stuck somewhere in 200 years in the same clothes? No.
Yeah.
You're gonna have some ghost BO. It's not great.
It's not great.
And
And
half
I
of them
think
died in bad ways.
the only time I would say that I don't get rude because I feel like you're asking for it.
Mhm,
But I think, like for instance, for this last weekend, we went to Poasttown Elementary here in Ohio.
mhm,
It's the most haunted school here in Ohio, potentially in the U.S. And I
mhm.
will say it was very active. There is something there that is dead files. My ghost just said just
Yes.
dead files. Yeah, but there's something gallivanting there that is pretending to be something worse
Mhm.
than what it is,
Yeah.
because it tries, like I say it because I'm not sure. It calls you all the, slut and whore and all these nasty
Just trying to
words.
trigger you.
But then when you ask, who they are, it's like they just keep throwing poop at the wall and seeing if it
Gonna
makes you
stick.
scared, if
Yeah.
it makes you go away. So then I will say that it's more like, I don't think you are who you are. It's like
Mhm.
it's a matter of that. But I would never be, yeah, some of the times it's stuff that when he yells and screams for no
Don't like
reason,
it.
I'm like,
I
they're
was watching
incorporeal, they can hear you.
I was watching the one, episode that they were doing about when they were in the hotel, the one that had, the Zodiac killer and stuff like that
Oh,
in there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
Cecil.
I
Is it
just
Cecil?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a Cecil. And, firstly, the information they gave out was incorrect. Because if you watch, it was basic, But then when you watch the video, because I had just done a show on the Cecil Hotel, it
Mhm.
was very inaccurate, and it gave a lot of different it really gave the viewer a different ideology of what actually happened historically. We'll put it that
Right.
way.
Right.
Secondly, the whole thing when it came to the 2 different serial killers it was there. Yeah, they were,
They were
except
there.
they
We
were
know that they
there,
were there.
not at the same time, not like Zach Bagans was trying to push across.
Right.
Also, it wasn't that the one that he was trying to say that, was just trying to be just like the Zodiac and all or trying to be like, trying to be like the all the and I'm like, "No, no, 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 your timelines are screwed up."
Yeah.
Uh,
Totally
he
different time
that
frames.
guy came first. What are you
Mhm.
talking about, dude? And
It
then
was kind of the other
yeah, and then he starts
only one
yelling
was
at
more
him and
famous.
like drawing little pentagrams and, "Oh, I know you like this." And I'm like, "Dude, if I was a ghost and I could pick up a knife, I would shiv you right now."
I
You
just boop
kind
you on the
and
nose.
I would be a kind of well, I wouldn't be a good ghost. I already have my ghost plan.
I have a ghost plan.
I do because
Like, this is what I'm gonna do.
do you wanna know why? 'Cause my husband's an atheist. He decided that a few years ago, and I'm like, "Oh, I can't wait." I said,
Oh boy.
"So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna haunt him for about a week, because that's all I think I'm willing to give because, if I'm gonna be in heaven and playing ping
This is
pong with
how much
Socrates,
dedication. Right.
right? Like, how much time am I gonna really wanna waste of my eternity tormenting my husband?
Sure.
A week and a half." So I said to him, "Every time you're in the shower, I'm just gonna rip open that curtain, yell, 'Boo,' and disappear."
Yeah.
Just because. Every time that you're about to wake up, like 5 minutes before that alarm, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna
Shh.
hover right over your face, and then you open your eyes, and I'm there, and I'm gonna dissipate. It's gonna be the funnest, like, probably the funnest
Right.
7 days of our marriage.
And then I'm out. I
I
gotta
says
go to the Rainbow Bridge, babe. Catch you later.
and then he says to me, "Well, Houdini had the same plan, you know?" And I'm like, "He's not as determined as I am.
I
I'm
have
gonna
modern technology.
I'm gonna haunt you for 7 days," like the
Yeah.
movie, maybe
Right.
10 if it's fun.
Right. If you're feeling it. If you're like, I can dedicate a little more time to
Oh,
this.
yeah.
For science.
And then I said, "Hey," and I said, "What will you do if you die and you realize you can come back? You gonna haunt me?" He goes, "Nah." I'm like, "Thanks for giving that much effort." Eh.
Right. Oh my gosh. It's like the it kind of just lets you know exactly where you sit, right?
I said, "I'm gonna haunt you for a couple extra days just because."
Just because you said that.
Yeah. I also have a funeral plan. So
Well,
my
that's good
best
though.
friend and I have a plan. So whoever dies first, the other one is gonna give the eulogy. But you have to sit at the back of the crowd, speak to no one, wearing just a big cloak and a big sickle.
Oh, big
And as everything starts to go by, you just take a couple steps closer.
right. A little
And
closer. A little closer.
we have to do the whole eulogy as, death. And then after that, I've dared him. He said he would. And I totally believe him. Take the flower bouquet off the casket and throw it in the crowd to see who's next.
Right. It's like a right. It's just like a wedding.
And then
But
I
for
said,
your dad.
and if there's a couple people that you don't like there, just kind of go over there and say you're next. That would be
Yeah.
cool.
I think I that so the one before, I think it was one before this one? Yeah. The clothes for the dead, basically, where I said lingerie for the dead. I learned so much. I was like, oh my God, I need a death plan. Someone's gonna put me in some Martha Stewart outfit.
Oh
I'm
no.
gonna be pissed.
Well, I originally had a cool death outfit planned, but now I'm thinking because I've done a couple episodes on, being buried alive and what bad things happen to corpses, like corpse brides, for example. Now I'm thinking cremation's a great idea. Maybe I can get like a really pimped out container, like have it like
Right.
bedazzled in pink, like little rhinestones or something. I haven't
You can
figured
have
that out yet.
anything you want. I say first, I work at a funeral home, and I see all kinds of things. Sometimes I'm like, that person didn't want to be buried in that dress. That person did not want to be cremated in that dress.
No.
And bad on you guys for choosing that dress. It doesn't even fit her right or him right. You
Yeah.
know, every
Now
now and
you
then though, you can tell this like that dude that had a suit on, that guy had a plan and he was a mobster. I guarantee it. That dude was a mobster. But he had a plan.
Well, my husband's death plan, he says, "I want you to spread my ashes on a porn set." And I'm like, "No. No.
You're like, absolutely not. Choose another.
We're not going for that.
Put
No.
your arm back in the little pot
A
there. Choose another.
mountain, like be
Yeah.
a lake, but no.
Yeah. Well, is that where he's gonna be stuck forever?
That's what he wants.
Yeah.
You can tell we have a unique sense of humor, right?
Oh no, my husband's the exact same way. So Mr. Creep, like it actually, so Ghost Dog says, I told the wife to make me swallow a small silver pill when I die, and it has a tiny scroll on it. So when it when the
I
autopsy
love
they open
that.
it when you've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's very his style. Yeah. That's hilarious. I don't now I'm like, I wonder if they've ever found anything in the people that I know, because they have our crematory operators that do humans. And I'm like, have you guys ever found anything real crazy afterwards? I've never asked them that. I don't know why I haven't. I'm like, tell
No.
me, tell me.
Well, I can't say I've been to a crematorium, but I have been to a morgue a whole lot of times in my life. And I'll tell you very briefly a quick story about my last time that I went to a morgue because I said after this, I went back to the
Never
floor I
going
was
back.
working. No, done. And it's not to deal with the dead people, it's the live people. I seriously,
Always.
live people. So,
Always.
as you guys, and especially you would see it a lot, people behave really badly at death.
Hmm.
So bad. And there's only so much patience I have for that. So apparently this family, it was a lady, she was in a coma for a bit. She went in kidney failure and she just wanted to go peacefully. So it was a waiting game. She finally passed, called the family. There was one member there and they said, "Oh, we want the family to come visit because we're not going to do a funeral because that costs and we want all the money." And we're like, "No,
Oh,
that's not how it works." They wanted to have the visitation in her hospital room with her dead with another patient in there because it was a dual room. And we're like,
okay.
that doesn't work for us. It doesn't work for the other person. So we
Yeah.
put her so we moved her to a private, which we don't really have anymore. And we just kind of created one to be understanding, to let a few people there. And they said, "Oh, it will be like an hour and we'll be done." Okay, cool. Hour passed, 2 passed. Now we're looking at 3. We're going on to pass now 1 o'clock. We're like, "No, we gotta get her in the fridge." So we had to
Yeah.
be nice about
Get it in
it.
the fridge.
We're like, "No, you cannot allow that anymore." "Well, we only have 1 more coming from this place." "It's a 5-hour drive." And she goes, "She should be here in an hour." We're like, "Yeah, that she's gonna have to go see him in the morgue." It
Right,
happens.
unless
It happens. It
it does.
happens. So what we did is we brought her down to the morgue, put her in the fridge, and it's a pretty little room. And so the person shows up. At this point, one of the nurses go in, she comes back, she's mad because it's a busy day. We're packed. And she's like, "I can't take this family anymore. They're horrible. I'm not going
It's
again."
always the family.
So I sent this. Then the next one comes in. Remember, they were done. The next one comes in. I send another nurse, and she's like, comes back, "Never again, never again, never again." So at this point, now everybody's refusing because everybody had to deal with this family today. I said, "Fine." I said, "I will go and because I've technically, you guys are the nurses on the floor working today. I'm not supposed to be doing this stuff, but I'll do it." So
Right.
went down with another girl, pulled her out, put the blanket on, made her all pretty, got the Kleenex ready. We're good to go. And in comes family number 1. So this woman. So she comes in, and I swear to God, this is true. The first thing she does is try to climb on the gurney, which you can't have because
See?
that's a risk and it's creepy.
Yep.
So I'm like, I had to tell her, "No, no, no, you have to get down because you can get hurt, weight wise, you can shift." And then she's
Mhm.
like, "I just want to lie with my mom." And I'm like, no, but
Everyone's grief is
no."
different?
That's what I'm thinking. People grieve differently, try to be understanding. And then she's like, "Where's her blanket?" "What do you mean?" And she goes, "Well, she has blanket or belongings." I says, "Well, they're in a belonging bag that's under here. And it goes with her to the funeral home," trying to be nice. And so she grabs this belonging because it's inventoried. You're not supposed to go into it. She rips out the blanket and puts the blanket on top of our blanket, this Afghan from the
Sure.
1972, and tucks her in. And she's like, "My mom's so cold."
She's so
So
cozy.
The evil Brenda's thinking, "That's because she's dead." This one's saying, "Try to be empathetic."
I'm so glad I'm not the only one.
Jeez. So then she goes and lifts off the blanket. You know what's under the blanket, right?
Right,
A body bag, right? Because you
right.
pull it down and tuck it.
And you
So she
yeah.
Oh, no. She unzips the body bag and then sees the toe tag on her mama. And she's like, "Who's this doctor's name?" And I said, "Well, that was the doctor who was taking care of her in the
That's his
hospital, and he pronounced her." And she goes,
This is
that's
how
not her,
chain of custody works, people.
not in her world. So she's like, that's not her family doctor. And I want her family doctor on there. And I says, well, we can't do that because that's illegal. That's not how it works. And I explained
That's
it
not who
again.
declared her dead.
Right. And I said, you can't do that. But if you have further an issue with that, feel free to go and send a letter to our CEO.
Office
And
is over there.
and then the door of the morgue slams open, and there's random big 6'2" guy that I have no idea who he is. Walks in, and I'm like, whoa, stop. Who are you? And he's like, I'm her brother-in-law. And I'm like, dude, say, excuse me,
Okay.
you don't just walk into a morgue. These are
Right.
off limit areas. You have to be asked in, and you weren't asked in. You don't just walk into a morgue. Well, I'm here to get her. I
Well,
said,
he's not a vampire, so.
and I'm like, okay. Then he comes up, he goes, are you stirring? I'm like this. And she's like, what do you mean? And then they start arguing. They're like chest bumping.
Right, you're
You're
like,
s- and she's like this tall, he's this tall. So she's bumping in his belly button and they're screaming and fists are there. And I'm like,
humans.
they're above the dead body. And that's when I lost the tiny little bit of patience that I had that day.
It's gone.
And I snapped and I just started yelling. And I'm like, what the are you two doing? You're over Jane Doe's body right now, fighting, physically getting onto each other,
Human.
fighting. I said, she is looking down, so ashamed of your behavior right now. And I want to throw up. I am so angry that you disrespect this woman this way and fight in a damn morgue. Get out.
Wait till you're not around her.
And they're like, you can't kick us out. I'm like, yeah, I can, because hospitals are private property. Get the hell out. Go and fight in the parking lot. So out they
Right.
went in the hallway. They're screaming at each other. They go
Fight at
down
the funeral.
they go down the loading dock, and they're physically beating the heck out of each other now in the parking lot. So I had to call security, and the cops are always in hospitals at emergency. It's not hard to get a hold of a cop. So they're now coming out. They're arresting these two. And because the doors are open, and I literally call upstairs. And the girl who
I'm
came
gonna
down
get
with me, her name
staples.
is Joanne. She's a friend of mine. And I'm like, Joe, get your butt downstairs right now. Bring a belongings bag. And I'm never going to the morgue again. Ever. And she's like, what happened? And she goes, what the hell's going outside in the parking lot? And I'm like, aren't
You're
you
like, I don't care. They're
I'm
outside,
like,
not
no,
in here.
the cops are arresting them because they were fighting over her body. Okay? Get down here right now.
Humans.
I couldn't believe it. And everybody laughed at me for the rest of the day because I got into a fight with family members in a morgue and pushed them out to the parking lot.
Don't fight over there or someplace else.
Oh,
It's always the living.
but the dog was okay. Just answering you, ghost dog.
That's all we care about is the dog.
So just
any
the moral of
story
the
I come
story is,
across.
The moral of the story is don't fight over dead bodies, people. It's really
I know.
disrespectful.
They're gone. And they're gone. I mean, really, they're gone.
I'll
I
just
don't
over
know.
a couple bucks, people. It's not worth it.
I don't know. I think in all the times you hear about families, I've heard someone came for a witnessing for a cremation,
Mhm.
right? The big retort, the big machine is like right there. And they were in their box because they're not
Mhm.
always in a coffin. Sometimes they're in a box.
Mhm.
The family literally was trying to crawl, or one person was trying to crawl into the cardboard box.
Okay, see ya.
Just put me in with them.
Okay. Do you want to sign this waiver?
We can make that happen if that is what your wishes
If you
are,
really
ma'am.
want to, we can't really stop you. You're a grown adult, but sign this waiver so we
Oh
have
my
no liability.
God.
Knock yourself out.
It's like drama.
Aren't you
I'm
glad
glad-
that
see, I
I'm
don't-
not in healthcare anymore?
Oh, and I'm not even on the human side. I'm on like the pet side. I deal with babies. So the dogs are my responsibility, and they come in for their stuff. So, but I get to see everything else. You know, I'm right there. And I'm like, I will never. I just
Well,
want
if it
to
makes you feel
stay
any
over
better,
here.
my mom went and said, I just wanted to let you, this is a couple of years ago, just want to let you know I made you my power of attorney and the executor of my will, which I'm the youngest, which is kind of not normally how it goes, but that's okay.
Right.
Like I said to my
We're
mom,
probably
she
the
was,
most responsible.
and she goes,
Oh.
you want to know what she said? I am. But she said, you know what her reason was? She goes, well, I know that you have no problem pulling the plug on me. I'm like, thanks.
Yep. Now
And she goes,
behave.
"No, what I mean," she goes, "What I mean is you always put other people before you and you find out the facts first. So if a doctor said that, what my quality of life is, you won't be selfish enough to keep me around for you. You're just going to rip that plug out and call it a day." And I'm like, "And take that money. Go
Yeah.
to Vegas."
Give me that money. I have. So you said so I have not been to a human morgue. I don't know why. I have a morbid curiosity that I want to be like. There's a difference between you walk into, like in a funeral home, they're all kind of waiting,
Yeah.
for their time to shine,
Mhm.
and or for their close-ups or whatever. But they've been gone for a while.
Yeah.
You know, I've only ever had one spooky thing happen to me at
Mhm.
well, technically two. One that they actually were like I felt like something had whispered in my ear when I walked past one of the viewing rooms, but then when I turned, it was just a black room.
Yeah.
So that was a little challenging. Have you ever had anything like that happen in a morgue?
Morgues are probably the least haunted places there is for the simple fact that people go there and they're dead already.
Well, so are
Now,
funeral homes.
but the haunted places in a hospital are completely different. Like the morgue, if you go to emerge departments, medical surgical floors, even lockdown units, that's where the
Those are
activity is
those are
because
the things.
a lot of people, a lot of spirits that what I'm finding with research today because of emotion based of something that happened to them or confusion when they died, that sort of thing. And where do they die? Like the unit we were on had a man in a hat. And I did tell our story about that in one episode. And I actually was on the show Haunted Hospitals. My friend got me on.
By the way,
That
I'm
worked.
sorry for the barking. I think
Oh,
there's somebody here. My
oh,
husband's taking care of it.
oh, no worries. But also, she was on it and she was with me when we seen the man in the hat. Everybody's seen the man in the hat in our hospital. But there was a lot of spirits, and we would see them regularly, people walking through the nursing station, not using a door.
Oh, you're like, wait a minute. Like
Oh, it,
like your brain glitched for a second because you're like, they didn't open the door.
Well, the girl in question and I, there was 3 of us, and we were sitting there. We see the man in the hat that in that hospital. He's always wearing kinda like heavy or wool pants that you see like in the 30s with the crease in the front.
Sure.
Um, sometimes it's coat, sometimes not, like a suit jacket, lighter colored shirt, fedora. You don't see the face. And
Mhm.
we always would see him walking down the hallway, but you wouldn't see knees down. And you could see through him partially as he's going. And he got
Oh.
night shift, and the thing that he did was great because I used to go and crap on the nurses on it because I always did day shift. But on night shift, if they would go sleep, they would usually go sleep in the supply room because that's where we stored the jerry chairs, and or in the one lounge, which used to be a palliative care room. And what he would do is come over and sit on their chest, so they felt they couldn't breathe. They would wake up. He would be on their chest and dissipate. And I'm like, well, because you're not supposed to be sleeping on night shift. Well, no, but of course they're trying to push it. The ghost woke them up, but don't sleep on night shift. You're not getting paid to sleep.
Right. Oh my gosh.
I think he probably was a former administrator or something. It's like you're going to earn your money.
You're gonna right. You're gonna have to stay here. See, that's correct. And apparently, I've had a couple people tell me that in the building that I'm at. First of all, it's a very old building. It's a one of the there's two. It's one of the oldest funeral homes here in Columbus. And apparently, upstairs, because ours is a historical building, they say that there's somebody up there, and I've never seen him. I've never seen anybody. So I have a feeling it's either maybe one of the original family that
Mhm.
because this place has been that forever, or the chapel or whatever. But man, I'm like, come on, let me see it just once.
Just once.
Just
Too
one
bad. Too
time.
bad there wasn't something like he could sprinkle around, like like Santa Claus gets cookies. Too bad he couldn't
Right.
like put some cookies out for it. Come eat it. Come eat
It's
the
just
ghost cookies. Show
like, come
yourself.
on, show up. Yeah, I have, and it's different. So I keep waiting for that moment to run into them. But I always wondered if because I hospitals have to be a hot spot. They really
Mhm.
do.
They absolutely are. Every hospital I've worked at, and I've worked at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hospitals in my life, and 6, sorry, 6, and every one of them, especially when you go to the emergency department because that's where people mostly die, and on the med surg floor
Yeah.
because that's where they go and they usually pass there too. So it's a constant
That's
thing. So
crazy.
therefore, it's okay, so one of the housekeeping that we had, she was a sweet girl, it's her first day, had an incident happen on her first day. She actually walked in and on a person that we were waiting to go, and,
Mhm.
she walked in and discovered she just passed, so she came out a little panicked, and an incident happened, like, literally in front of her and I, and what it
Right.
was
You're like,
is
"Ah."
well, I don't even jump anymore.
Yeah.
To me, ghosts are nothing. Having a guy drop on the floor in front of you having cardiac arrest, that's something to worry about.
Right.
What can a ghost do?
That's something
So,
you can do something about.
right. So we had
Maybe.
this brand new hole punch that I ordered because somebody messed up my old one. And I had bought a hole punch. You know those big heavy ones that are like $80? And so I
Mhm.
literally just took it out of the box. It didn't even have a scratch on it. It was on the desk. And that
That's how
thing
you know you're an adult.
it flew across the nursing station on the top, and then flew off the end about, like, straight out and then dropped. Boy, was I
Yeah.
pissed off. And I'm like, "Look," and I used her
Don't
name.
break my stuff.
I said, "Look, I get that you're gone. You probably are a little confused. You came with us. You had a coma." And I said, "You were out of it for a couple days, so you probably are way confused with what's going on. I'm just gonna let you know you're dead. But just because 'cause you're
Right.
dead and upset right now doesn't mean you can break my $80 hole puncher." And the whole housekeeper looked at me and she's like, "Does this shit happen all the time?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
So
And she's
you
like,
knew who it was. You knew
"Uh-huh.
who the ghost was.
Yeah,
You had like a
yeah,
85 or greater percent chance of who it
yeah,
was.
yeah." And so she went and said, I'm done." And she quit. She went downstairs and quit and left.
That's crazy.
If you're scared of ghosts, you can't work at a hospital. You just can't.
Man, I have never even before this I was a vet tech for a long time for, and never I can't say I've ever heard an animal haunting. Like they're
I had
out.
I had one. I had one, and that was my old house, and this is years ago. I was, like, 18 years old, just moved into a condo, with my friends, because 'cause you're all moved out for the first time, you think you're cool and,
Right.
an adult, and, we kept on I don't even remember how the conversation started, and we all started talking about, like, the ghost cat, and everybody was seeing this black and white cat, like a tuxedo cat, like a kitten, and it would be running around this kind of pillar around our like in our kitchen area, like this the partial wall. And all of us seen it. And then one day we started talking about it. And then one of my roommates actually went and asked, what did she said it's like, I smell litter. Did somebody here used to have a cat? And they said, yeah, the last person that we rented to had a kitten, but it got killed because the
Oh.
kitten, she also had like a fire newt. They're like the little lizards and they're poisonous, and she didn't know, and the cat ate the newt and died. So she lost both of her pets the same day. So now we were seeing the little ghost cat, and she didn't last very long. We only seen her for about 6 months. I think she's like, "Yeah, I'm done. I'm gonna go to
Yeah.
cat heaven."
I isn't that well actually so Ghost Dog makes a good point. I'll correct what I said then. I'll say in the hospital setting I have never had a haunted, you know, animal that I've had. But I had my heart cat. I call him my heart cat. He's my boy. And it was like after he passed, you could feel him jump up onto the bed. And I wasn't the
Mhm,
only one because Mike
mhm.
would be laying next to me and he'd be like, "Did you feel?" And he'd look up, I'm like, "Wait a minute, Davidson's gone." Like he's not here. But he was a big boy, so when he got on the bed, it was like you could feel it. It was like, "Oh Lord, he coming." Like he was a big boy. And that but you don't hear of them very often. But I
No, you
think
don't.
after a while, I do think they move on. Like
Yeah.
I haven't felt Davidson in a long time. We've adopted two other ones in the meantime. And
Mhm.
it's like I think they just don't have all the, what is that? Like when we're here,
Baggage,
we have all the yes, thank you.
baggage.
Excellent
Because
word.
humans have the
Baggage.
baggage.
We hang on to every single little thing. Yes, I
There's this
agree.
one person in my life, and let's just say she's not the well, okay, she's okay, how can I explain it? She's not in my life. She's Yeah, I keep her as far out as I
Sure.
can, and
Peripheral.
and she's all about the drama and stirring the crap and all that, like, she's incredibly toxic, one of the worst toxic people I've ever
But she's
seen.
still around you.
Well, that's the problem is she still knows mutual people, so she
Right.
shows up at some stuff. So I
You're
try
like,
to do the avoiding as much as humanly possible, but the point is, one of the events I seen her at, it was a couple months ago, and it wa it was a funeral, and she comes in hot. She was with somebody else, and
at
she
a funeral,
instantly
bro.
starts throwing a fit, like, loud, loud, and because her daughter called her, and I'm like, did you not have your volume off or
Right.
anything?" "Well, yeah."
You could prevent that.
And then I'm thinking, "Then who cares?" But
Right.
that's just who I am, and she's raving because she always has to be the center of attention. I said, "You know what? When you die, you're gonna definitely be one of those dark entities that lives in somebody's closet, who comes and
Yeah.
steals children and eats them for breakfast.
You're
And
gonna
she's like,
become a
"What?"
portal.
"Yeah, you're gonna be one of those, you'll be guarding the portal of hell." Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's gonna be their post.
Yep. And she's like, "You think you're funny." I'm like, "No, I know I'm
No,
right.
I know.
I know I'm
I've
right."
seen it. I know. Have you always, I guess, have you always been interested in paranormal? Because you mentioned that you were a paranormal investigator. Have you been part of a team or just kind of a
Well, how that happened was a sheer fluke. But going back to the original question, yes, because I had an experience. So if you're going to be listening to the Darkcast Network, see how I put that plug in there? Just slide it right
I
in.
like that. I like
The
that.
Darkcast Network, for the first time in 4 years since I am podcasting in all of the collaboration episodes that start this Friday on our feeds. So go to Creepy Confidential or Horrifying History, you'll hear them. And I tell the story of my first run in with a ghost. First time I ever said it in public forum.
Awesome.
With that's not it with friends or something after you had a couple shots. But the point of it is,
Sure.
how I got to be a paranormal investigator was I was going to university at the same time, working full time, and I was working an evening shift for an internet company, and I was their tech support. So I was like, "Hello, welcome to blah blah blah. How can I help
Sure.
you?" You know that one,
I'm gonna
and
direct your call.
right. So, basically, that's all we had to do. They said, "Surf the net, do whatever the heck you want." Like literally, this that he had his old house and he used it as his business. He just gave it to the business. So we were on the lake shore of Lake Ontario. We just go swimming whenever we'd want to, as long as we kept a phone with us. And so anyway, came back from a swim. It was the best job. Came back from a swim, and I start surfing the net, and I found this place that it was actually for throughout Canada, and it was different. Investigation societies. Okay.
Mhm.
Filled with Canadiana ghost stories from everywhere. So, of course, now I'm just enraptured and I'm
Now you're
reading
like,
this.
"Yes."
So I'd go back about once or twice a week to get some more ghost stories in. And then they put up a notice that they were looking for new researchers and investigators. And they said they have spots for two. So they said what it is we teamed up with the University of Toronto. It basically write a paper, 1,000 words, and it's on a very famous haunted site here in Canada. How would you investigate it? And they said, with that said, we will give you 2 course credits. And I'm like, I'm in. You
Yeah,
had me at
yes.
course credits.
Yeah.
You mean you have to know to take a basket weaving course? I'm in.
Y Right?
So I wrote it. I sent it. I got a call a week later and said, You want the spot?" And they was so it was 15,000 people applied, and I got one of the 2 spots.
Excellent.
And I'm like, "Sign me up."
Yeah.
So yes, I absolutely was. And I'm like, "By the way, do I get business cards?" And they said, "Yes." And I'm like, "Wow,
Yes.
I'll do it for business cards." Ghosted Brenda, ghost
Yep.
investigator.
You're
Yeah,
like, "I'm on it."
I'm on it. So that's how I actually became part of that ghost hunting society.
That's
Credits
fun,
for
though.
high or college credit.
Yeah. I would my dream is to that my classes that I'm building will be the college classes, so I'm working on that.
That would be awesome.
I
There
did my
should
little
be.
intro and everyone seemed to really like it, so I was like, "Oh, I really wanna" now this is like my build. This is my, "Hey,
Well,
you need to do this
I
time."
listened to it today, actually,
Mhm.
and, I really enjoyed it. I love the fact that you actually defined a lot of the words, a lot of the terminology, because a lot of like, you'll let's go pick on Baggins again, why not?
Right.
You'll go and see in, like, their shows, they just presume that everybody knows everything, that they don't have new viewers or something that don't know
Right.
th right, and I think the terminology is very important, especially when you have to a lot of the machinery that they have or equipment they have. They do different things and have different meetings, and you find that he's really bad at explaining it, but believe it or not,
Or he explains it incorrectly.
yes. Who's really good at that is, believe it or not, Jack Osborne.
Really?
Yeah, I was
Ah,
shocked.
I've only listened to him a couple times, and then lately his sister was like, "I'm a medium," and I'm like,
Yeah, I seen that, and I'm
"Oh,
like, "Oh
boy."
god." And then I seen the one where Sharon passed out. Nah, I don't know. That one's a little off. But then
Yeah.
also the whole chip coffee thing kinda,
Yeah, I know. See, and I know somebody
I wanna believe.
who loves chip coffee and apparently has had nothing but great, like she's one of the local like big paranormal teams that's here in Ohio. So
Right.
she's actually been around this person, like Chip Coffee, and
Mhm.
I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't know him. I just get to see what he does." And I'm like,
Uh,
I'm
but
sorry,
Josh
dude."
Gates is friends with him, so, okay, he took a step up in my book.
Yeah.
But
Yes, I love
I
Josh Gates.
oh, who doesn't?
But
Mhm. But chip coffee, it's how he presents it.
yeah. it's too fantastical. Like,
It's
be science about it, but I
well,
get that it's not a science.
it's
Like,
it's the drama attached to it, and a lot of it's you could take it here, he takes it here, and I think a lot of that's for TV. I'd like to see him
yeah, it's
not in
like
front of a
Zach.
camera. Right, not in front of a camera and see what he would do.
Hmm.
And that's my problem. I've seen
Yeah,
other psychics on other shows, and, the believability factor is a little better.
yeah, and that's like I could never. I I can't be part of a team that uses that as a tool because you can't. It's not credible. You can't prove it. You
I could
cannot prove it.
I see the value in going in first and doing the investigation and pulling as much as you can from the history and the documentation and things like that. And then if you have a medium that you can prove that didn't get any of this information beforehand, because you can't on these shows, that came in blind and then
Right.
gave a reading that matched, then
Yeah.
okay. But that's not what happens on these shows.
It's I know. There's no way to prove that the control is a control.
Correct.
Like it drives me crazy. And that's why. So as soon as like I heard Jack Osborne and then he's had his family on there and it was like this whole I'm like
This
I
season,
can't.
not as good. Last season.
Yeah.
The one where he's in Britain, I
Mhm.
I actually liked how he explained the devices, or I also seen where he explained them to his mom, or
Yeah.
his sister not as much because she's been on before, but explaining it to his mom what things does, and I'm like, "That is what we're missing."
Yeah. And that's what I hope. I would love to do that. Now paranormal is investigating is not that's not my bread and butter. I this a lot not anymore, but it used I think that if you're going to get into it, I would rather have somebody learn the trade and learn the skill from someone who isn't like maybe like Chip Coffee or like
Zach.
one of those mediums where they're like this huge, they have to prove to the TV that it's real. It's like maybe start with the science and
And I
then build
right.
off of it.
And not be so sensationalized with it.
Yes.
There is a show that's gonna be coming out very soon, and it's the only, interview I've ever done on my show. And, Malia Menengo or Maligno, say that 10 times.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a tongue twister.
yeah, she actually has a YouTube channel called, Macabre Mondays. She's actually the one starring in it, and I think they're now gonna be they taped season 1 and 2, and they're working on number 3 now, and it's gonna be releasing very soon, and I'm looking very forward to this 'cause, Malia, I found her on YouTube before I even started,
Mhm.
into this journey of being a podcaster, and I love her stuff because she basically goes in and looks at the history of cemeteries, especially a lot of these pioneer cemeteries that are disappearing. So
Right.
people don't forget about them. But also, she loves going into houses and do the history of houses and stuff like that. And I'm very much looking forward to because they're not doing the psychic part of that. They're doing the investigative team, and she's going to be doing the history side and see if the two match together in the middle. So I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
see what they're going to do.
I have we recently we went on Saturday and part of me really wanted to go in with no list of claims,
Yes.
no historical background. I
Mhm,
wanted nothing.
mhm.
Although part of me also like the other part of me is like, well, I like to have all the information. I really am not like a fly by the seat of my pants kind of person
But you're
to
taking away the
begin with.
bias.
Eh, right, but that exactly. And
Mhm.
so I knew very minimal things other than trying to say, was there so if someone was like, well, actually there was deaths there's how many deaths? How can I prove that if there's anything tragic here? And that's it. Because just because I wanted to have a
Basically,
little bit, but
everybody is biased. As a human being, we're all biased. We're all based
that's
by our
programmed.
education,
Hmm.
by our life experiences. So if I go to you and say, you're about to go to a hospital that's loaded up with ghosts, you're more likely to have a ghostly experience, like it or not, or real or not, than if you
Right.
go in completely blind.
I agree. And I think I tried to, and I tried to go in relaxed and not making a show out of it.
Correct.
Like I didn't build anything out of it. I didn't get the camera out. It was just me being there, kind of looking at what was going, kind of like an outsider, but still being a
Mhm,
part of it. And it was much more enjoyable. And I think then I could actually have more credible evidence that way.
mhm.
So, oh yeah, I love this season. For me, my first, like I mentioned in my class, Ghostbusters is the reason why I started. I was a tiny little thing, and I I was telling my friends of mine, I started in my mind, I was Ray full Ray. I was the nerd. I wanted my own bookshop, everything. And now that I'm getting old and a little more cantankerous, I'm turning into Venkman. So it's like,
See, my dream is I wanted to be a detective.
yeah, that'd be fun too.
Oh yeah, that was my goal in life. And fast forward a couple years working in healthcare for way too many years, I actually went into an investigation position and became an analyst. But I was doing investigations for an organization, about 160,000 employees, but at the highest level, which people are bad. They're really bad.
They're bad.
But the point of it is, I never went into that before. And when I was done, wrote an investigation manual. And it's really interesting to go in to, like, say, alleged haunted spot with not with that bias, but in a more of an investigative mindset, because you're more likely to find the truth than if you go in with the bias. And
Yeah.
that's the one thing I've learned is everyone's biased. Everyone is.
It's just what's your level? Or
Right.
do you have this or do you have this? You know, like
Right.
where on the spectrum are you of your bias level? I know.
And that's why on my show, I try not to give an opinion. I
Yeah.
don't want to be that person to tell you what to think. I want you to think for yourself. And have I
Then
got
that, like,
but
full
have I
circle
gotten
moment.
some crap in that in the last 4 years? Because people are presuming just by a title or a word used that I have an opinion. Of course, but that's because they're biased, not me.
They're going into it. And I just try to do the same, which again is why we are kind of similar. Even
Mhm.
reading about these stories, but every now and then I have to interject maybe a thought or a word.
Me too,
But I
'cause
try
you
to
can't
just
resist.
you can't resist. But I do try and deliver at least a little bit of, just here's the story. I don't have to add anything to it. It's crazy enough as it is.
Well, there's a story, it's coming out, in November 17th, and it's from my mom because my mom sent me a message via Facebook Messenger, and all it said was, "Lizzie Halliday," and it's from a group that I'm not part of, right? So, I don't wanna join another group. So I'm like,
Right.
"What's
You're like,
what's
I'm
Lizzie
already part of how many groups?
what's Lizzie Halliday, mom?" And she then sends me the title of the article, "Lizzie Halliday, worst woman on earth." So I speculated for a second, what would gain a woman that title?
Right.
Okay, I'm in. And then
Yeah.
I said, "Are you giving me a show idea?" Because my mom's 78, by the way. And I'm like, "Are you giving me a show idea?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Okay." So I did this show and I had to put in a slight amount of commentary because, okay, woman burns down her husband's farm because she's just an angry person. They get into a fight. She firstly blames it on his mentally disabled son. Then, when they're fighting, she admits, "No, no, no, I did it because I was pissed at you. And by the way, I cut your son's throat." So then, right after that, she says, "You know what? I'm going to go and elope." Remember, she's married. So she goes
Right.
and elope with a guy, stole the money from the husband, ran away to get it eloped. The guy had a brain and he left her real quick. So she tried to steal the stolen horses. She tried to sell the horses. That's when she got busted. She went to jail, tried to plead insanity. Then they put her into an asylum for a little bit. She's like, "Oh, honey, I really love you. Bring me home." And so the press said, after they said they were going to release this woman, they said to him, "Why are you taking her back?" His answer was, an old fool is a good fool, or whatever it is. An old fool is a good fool, or whatever it is. Anyway,
Yeah.
the point of it is he takes her back and then he goes missing. Now I
Gee, I
said,
wonder who did it.
"No, no." So I literally say in the show, "Look, if it was me and if some woman burned down my farm, I'd get a restraining order." But no,
Yeah.
apparently he's better than me and took her back. They found him under the floorboards of his own house, mutilated.
Oh.
Plus a couple other people she stashed in the barn, but listen to the episode.
Right. That's
Listen to
extra. That's like an extended teaser.
So I'm reading all this about this chick, and I'm like, my God, I'm like, my mother. My mother's sending me these articles. She's 78 years old.
Because hey, you're coming across them. You might as well use it. It's gonna be a good episode.
That's what she said. She said,
Because that one sounds good.
"It's darn good." She was damn. And the worst thing is, she got arrested. That's when she gets started. You should hear about the stuff she did in
Crazy.
jail. She managed to kill somebody in the asylum. Like, that takes some crazy talent. And I'm saying that, knowing those are loaded words.
I have so many
Crazy
questions. Now I have
talent.
to wait.
Yeah.
Now
November
I have to
17th.
wait. I
Thanks,
don't want to
Mom.
ask because it'll give it away, right? Oh
Don't
my
Google
gosh.
her. Don't Google her.
No, I have to wait now because I have a whole bunch of episodes. I listen to them if I'm out driving around or going from place to place. It's like
Well,
that's my
like I said,
keeps
on
me
my trip,
busy.
I was binging you.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Caught up.
Yeah. Well, and I haven't been, Creepy Confidential just turned 1 year old. So it's, for a 1 year time, I'm kind of trying to get as many in as I can.
Mhm.
That's for sure. I have so many ideas though. I really want to do more alien content. Not because I'm like crazy about aliens, but I feel like I haven't done enough of it. And there's so many crazy rabbit holes you can go down.
Oh, yeah.
And then cryptids. I want to do some more cryptids. Have you ever had a cryptid? Anything like happen with cryptids?
That I've seen or my personal experience? No, but
Yeah.
I would like to.
You're like, but I want it
I
like a
would like
Bigfoot
to.
or anything.
I honestly do not disbelieve in cryptids, and here's the why. To this day, we're still are discovering new species in our oceans, in our forests. There's a lot of places that doesn't have a lot of populace, like say, for example, up north. So, do I believe that these things could be a thing? Absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. But it also, for example, if you look at the manatees, well, that's what they used to think a mermaid was, right?
Right.
So why can't those 2 match up? For example, when they were talking about, the Kraken, well, that's giant squid. They now know from the
Right. That
depth
it's
of the
real.
right.
Yeah. That it's
So
real.
I don't disbelieve, but that Bigfoot video that came out last week, I'm having a hard time to
Oh,
believe that one.
trash.
It's
Yeah.
like you just happen to be on a train and random
Yeah.
guy who looks like a businessman. The only thing he doesn't have is the briefcase. He's just like Bigfoot's walking without his briefcase. Then he just sits down kind of like this. No, sorry.
Yeah.
Wah, wah, wah.
I agree. I see, and even now I have a hard time with a lot of the Bigfoot stuff because nowadays you can build so many like that costumes and everything are
And that was
so
my
much
next
more
thought. I'm
believable.
like, "Why do you look like, you have mange? You don't
Yeah.
look great. Like, did you go to Party City? Come
Right.
on."
Well, I mean, that kind of makes sense because even you could go look at 10 squirrels in your backyard. 8 of them are going to have either mange or like these crazy big lumpy cysts on them. So
Mhm.
it's not crazy, but I mean, it's crazy that people think that Bigfoot's real.
That was a bad Party
But
City
it was
outfit.
bad.
Like, he
It's
probably took a
really bad.
stapler and stapled a couple leaves on himself.
Yeah, to make it
They
a little bit more believable.
are like,
Oh, I
they're looking
know.
from far away, it's good. And
It's people are
all
crazy
those
about it
videos
though.
are not close up. With
Yeah.
everybody that have videos on their phones, you can't get a video closer to that guy.
With crazy digital zoom and everything still looks like it's filmed on a potato.
Yep,
Every single thing.
that's
Yeah,
what
I
yeah,
I just can't.
disappointing.
It's so disappointing. I published the one about the, Patterson Gimlin. So the original Bigfoot here in the
Mhm,
States was
mhm.
Patty, on that
Yeah.
film, and I was just posting the information that someone had come forward, so they were saying it was about a hoax. Holy crap, everyone, like, broke out in a fight in the comment section about it, and they're still
Oh,
going on. I see comments every single day, and they're not even fighting with me. They're just fighting with each other about how if it's real or not.
have fun.
Yeah, like, "Hey, thanks for the comment," "Thanks for checking
Um,
out the video," and they're just actually
subscribe.
yeah, subscribe, the bottom of the feet, the last one, the bottom of the feet weren't white and this and that.
Ugh,
I'm like, "Oh my
that
god."
lives in your head way too much, people.
Like, if this is what you're thinking about where you feel like you're gonna have to start to argue about it, but I don't know. I've always been obsessed with Bigfoot. My grandpa used to tell me there were Yeti in the woods in northern Wisconsin to keep me from running away, and it worked.
My dad used to tell me, okay, so when you put your shoes together, and
Uh-huh.
if they're correct, like the left foot and the right foot is in the right spot, they have like a
Sure.
little V in the top, but if you put it the other way, it's a big V. So that's how
Okay.
my dad taught me to put my shoes on my right feet. He's like, big V wrong, little V correct. Because if you have a big V, the bears and the Bigfoots in the woods will come out and eat you. I'm just trying to protect you. And I'm like,
That's extreme.
my dad
All
was
because
a
of your
redneck farmer
shoes.
dude, and I'm
Oh
like,
my
"Oh."
gosh.
So my shoes were correct, and I was panicked, and every
Yeah.
day I would take my feet and I'd put them like this,
You're
big
like,
V, little V, little V. I'm good. I'm not gonna be eaten. But here's the funny thing. It wasn't until about 2 years ago where I heard lore, and it's apparently very famous lore about a Wendigo that was created right by my elementary school, who apparently the hunting ground is my dad's farm. You went with a
"Oh."
bear and Bigfoot when you coulda used a Wendigo? Those are girl
They're
that's like
way scarier looking.
right! And can you imagine how badly I would have turned out? And my
Yeah.
anxiety disorder would be so much
Trauma.
worse if I thought there was a Wendigo because of my
You would have
shoes.
been on the therapy chair. They would have thought like, "Okay, we're gonna have to uncover this."
Apparently, I've inherited my parents' genes, both my mother and my father.
That's
Weird,
hilarious.
bad sense of humor and into the strange.
And Into the Strange. Oh, yeah. It was weird because my family was never into the strange and unusual. I just think as soon as I started, because yeah, I think of the movies that came out. So I was born in 83. So
Mhm.
that was like the start. I never liked horror movies. I still don't like horror movies. But like I don't do well with them. Just my brain doesn't do well with them. Not that I don't necessarily would like them, but I can't handle them very well. But like the like kind of kitschy Tim Burton-y style, those ones, that's what I went full into the weird. The day I saw Ghostbusters, I was sign me up. I'm in for the weird. And then I saw Beetlejuice, except for the part where he grabs his crotch because mom cut that out for the longest time. And
I
then
think I think that's where our paths divided in our similarities because you followed the Beetlejuice trail, where
yeah,
my first horror movie, like, I think I was, like, 4 or 5, was The Evil Dead, and I wasn't supposed to be watching it, I was just, like, snuck
yeah.
down the stairwell, and yeah, that put me down the path of evil.
I didn't even see the Evil Dead movies because that's the one with the dude
Mm.
with the chainsaw with the hand.
Okay, he's funny.
Is
Well,
that the,
okay,
is that the guy? Is that the
eventually,
movie?
yeah, eventually he gets that
Okay,
chainsaw
so
hand.
that's kinda where it starts, but, like, all that like, the whole Bruce Campbell movies, I had not seen those
Oh, he's
until
funny.
I met, like, my husband. That was 10 years ago. So, I had never seen any of those movies before because
He's
I not
funny.
that I wasn't allowed, I was just my parents were afraid that I was gonna be afraid of them, and then I was afraid of them. I
Oh,
was like, "That's so scary."
my parents are like, "Oh, you wanna rent this movie called Evil Dead? Sounds good."
Mm-mm.
No, they
Like
just
the
they
Chucky, all those
I
movies.
had no parent control at all when it came to television. I think it's because they trusted me and they really shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But
Oh, they trusted me, but my little noodle has always been sensitive. I've always been like, I get, someone yells, I get sad or whatever. I don't know. I don't know how else to explain that.
oh,
But if it's real gory, I can't handle it.
do you remember when The Underworlds came out?
Oh, but I love those.
So I went to the theater with a friend with one of
Mhm.
those, and so we walked out and the theater, and she's like, "I'm so afraid. Can you walk me to your car?" And I looked at her, I'm like, "Are you serious?" I
Those
said,
movies weren't that
"This
scary.
is Trenton, Ontario. Look, there's not a human being out there. You think werewolves are gonna come running down the street,
Right?
rip out your throat, gonna get all attacked by vampires? Come
Right.
on."
Don't
And she's
worry, Celine will save you.
and she's like, "You have to be the like, one of the hardest person I ever met." I'm like, "Hard in what way?" And she goes, "Do you believe in anything?" "No." I'm like, "No." Like, I said, "Vampire, like, seriously, do you really think a vampire is gonna come attack you downtown Trenton?" "A meth addict, yes,
Yeah,
not a vampire."
but
I'd
not a
be more scared
vampire.
of that meth addict down in the corner.
Oh my god, you sound like my husband. He's like, "It's not the ghost that I'm worried about. It's who else is hanging around in
It's
that
those
house."
crackies. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my
I
god,
can
it sounds
handle a
just like
ghost,
him.
you just tell him to go.
Yeah, nope, I see, and that was my I think they just I don't wanna say they shielded me. I wasn't like a crazy shielded kid, but I just was drawn to more of like the straight like Jim Henson style, like the Dark
Yeah.
Crystal. I love even though
Oh, that
except
was so cute.
when he gets his soul ripped out, that's a little scary. But other than that, and here I am like researching some of the weirdest stuff in the world.
The only movie that really scared me, and I still watch it every year. Well, actually, I have a couple that I watch at least every year around Halloween. One of them or put my check mark on yesterday, which is 13 Ghosts. And the reason
That's a
why I
good
love
one.
that,
It's
the
scary.
the makeup is great. The
Yeah.
backstory and the characters are awesome. I wish they would just do separate stories on the ghosts themselves. And
Yeah.
they're actually negotiating right now. I think it could be Netflix, don't quote me on that, of doing a TV series,
That would be crazy.
which
You
I'm
know,
looking.
those like the actual movie or like Ghost Ship, those
Yes,
ones, they
great,
were they were terrifying,
but great.
but I know how to do really good theatrical full appliances, makeup. I'm very good at it. I
Mhm.
just don't like watching it on TV.
And the other one I don't recommend you watch, everybody else do it. It's a Wes Craven one, and it is a part of a trilogy series that he does, including The Thing and stuff like that. But it is called Prince of Darkness, and let me tell you, I don't know what it is. Well, firstly, it has Alice Cooper in it. Alice
Oh, but I
Cooper
love Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper is a homeless man who murders somebody with a bicycle in a very creative way.
Bicycle?
A bicycle. He stabs him with a bicycle.
Wow.
Credit to him. But
Yeah.
the storyline, I think how they wrote Christianity and the Bible into it as if it was a real thing, and how it developed from there. It scared the bejesus out of me. Only movie that ever creeped me out. Still watch it at least once to twice a year. And even though it gives me little
That's
creepies every time,
you're like, I still have to watch it.
so you gotta watch it. Just watch it in the daytime with the lights on because it's you. Me, lights off. Make sure
Yeah,
put
go
on my
for
fake
it.
vampire fangs. I'm ready to go.
See, but that's what's messed up. I can do a full, like, but realistic vampire, like absolutely full realistic. But I just the movie. Well, movies I like. I don't mind vampire movies,
I'm
but when
looking
it's
here.
like,
Dan Low music. Just watch Prince of Darkness on Sunday,
yeah,
and it's awesome.
I like. Oh, they. What was the Wes Craven one that they did? Wasn't it? Was it vampires?
Yes. Now here's my problem with vampires. There's a scene where all the head vampires they rise out of the dirt. And they're all covered with dirt, and they're like all bad. And then they do like pan out and pan in, and they're all clean. Did you go through a car wash, dudes? What did you do?
They had a quick, scrub and
Pat on
go.
some powder.
Yeah,
We're good to go.
you were good to go.
But the movie itself is all right. The book, the original book, way better.
Yeah, I
Way
hear
better.
that a lot.
Yeah.
I'm slowly working through some of the books just because I think I could actually do the books. I don't know, because then I won't sleep. My brain's too like it just goes and goes and goes and goes, and before you know it, by the time it's morning, I've tried to rework the makeup in my mind 10 times on how I'm going to make it work for like all these crazy movies.
Well, if it make you feel any better, what I usually do is my brain starts going. So you know what actually shuts it down?
What? Do
Ghost
it?
ghost or shows and horror movies.
Oh, yeah.
So the other night I was working late. I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed, and I put my iPad. So digressing a little bit, how stupid I am. I actually had a little procedure done on my leg, and so my legs raised up because I'm supposed to be resting it, and I'm a little uncomfortable. I also actually broke a rib too, but that was because I'm also stupid. So I had a busted rib back here, my legs raised, and I decided to put my iPad with keyboard on some pillows so I don't even have to lift my head up. So it's like this, and I probably start watching one of these ghost shows or movies, whatever. And I apparently fell asleep because the next thing I knew, I was rolling over and my iPad, it's kind of stuck in there magnetically, popped off and smashed me in the nose. My nose started bleeding. I'm like, oh, I'm
How
tearing.
heavy is your freaking iPad?
My husband wakes up and he's like, "What's wrong, Mike? I think I broke my nose."
I was attacked by a ghost.
And I went to the bathroom. I'm trying to clean up the blood. I'm like, "No, I think I'm good." So the next day, I had a puffy nose, broken rib, screwed up shoulder, and well, that's how I end up having a broken rib, and the shoulder, it kind of yeah, and my leg was all puffy and swollen and bruised. So I was a piece of work,
What the
and
heck were you doing?
so I called my mom because I call her every, like certain times when, we just call it certain dates and time, schedule it in sort of thing. And I called her and I'm
Sure.
like, your child's a moron. Just say it. Why? So I explained all that. She goes, I've been saying since you've been 7-year-old, you need to write a book because you do a lot of stupid stuff. I know. She goes, how's the nose? I'm like, not broken. Yay.
Just hurts.
So don't balance an iPad on a keypad thing on a whole big tower of
While watching
pillows
ghost movies.
and yes, ghost movies and shows and horror movies put me to sleep.
Oh man.
I
No,
think,
I've no way.
but oh my god, I've been keeping you now for an hour and a half.
Hey, we're just chit-chatting.
We are.
I thought of a question. Well, see, that's the thing. It's like usually I'm like, so somebody knows. Like you only have to stay for, you don't have to stay for anything. But if you're like, I want to stay for like a half an hour, 45 minutes. But if you just kind of get to BS in it, I don't care. It's our time.
Well,
People don't have to tune in.
what you guys don't know is we've been trying to do this for a while, but let's be honest. October is our busy time.
It's very busy. Yeah.
Ugh. And
October is busy.
I have a hard time saying no to certain stuff. And of course, I was gone for 20 days on vacation.
Yeah.
So
we're like, let's plan a collaboration and this and this and this.
And so what do? I plan this. I plan a collaboration with a couple other friends, and I do the one with Darkcast with the network. And I also have like other commitments to do with work and stuff, advertisers and stuff. And every year I sit there and say, what am I doing? And I do a countdown. I'm like, Halloween's the day I'm done.
Yeah.
Done.
That was going to be one of my questions, because then since it's the Halloween season, you are the one before Halloween. If you have 3 movies that you watch every single year, because I know we all have at least a couple, 3 movies you watch every single year for Halloween.
3.
You have to have staples.
I do mix it up. So I already told you Prince of Darkness, number 1 for sure. 13 Ghosts, because it's brilliant and underestimated. And honestly, anything, I really like the original Insidious. I love those just because how it was done. It was done so neat. And I downloaded, purchased, don't worry. I did
I
what
don't
I
judge.
supposed to. Red Door.
What
And
one?
the Insidious Red Door.
Oh,
And I was
didn't
gonna
know
watch that yesterday, and then I fell asleep. And then
Oh,
but
since
it's my
juice.
plan for tomorrow, because 'cause I'm not working tomorrow for the first day since September 30th. I'm taking the day off. I'm gonna watch horror movies, and that's that. I'm gonna
Did
eat
you say Insidious
yes,
is really good?
the 3rd one, the Red Door, the one in the Red Door.
Oh, I don't know about that one. Okay.
Yeah, that's the latest that just came out, like, a couple months ago.
This
So
is
I've
the
been
one with
saving
Patrick Flannery? That was the one we watched the other day.
Yeah, he's in everything.
It was good.
Like, he's, like, the most versatile actor. He's Aquaman.
Patrick Flannery was an Aquaman?
Yes, he was like the bad guy, hot Aquaman's evil brother with
Oh, I
bleached
didn't know that.
hair. He's in every freaking
He's in
movie.
everything. See, now I saw I'm an old school. I love myself. Boondock Saints was like one of my favorite movies, right? That was him, right? Patrick
Probably
Flannery.
because I've never
Yeah.
seen it, but likely.
You've never
I
seen Boondock Saints?
My husband has. He keeps saying that I have to go and see it, but I haven't got to it yet.
Oh, Nefarious. Yeah, we were thinking of Nefarious, not
Yeah.
Insidious. Nefarious was good. That's who Patrick Flannery was in
What
Nefarious.
is that guy's name? He's Patrick something. He is in everything.
Yeah. This
Yeah,
one, I was thinking of
he's
Nefarious.
the
You're
one
right.
he does too. He plays like Ed Warren too in
Oh, I
all
don't know.
those.
I'll have to look him up. See, now I can't watch those movies. No, you're bad.
But it's
Too
just
scary.
if you look up, like, I have, like, Apple TV, right? So you can go
Mhm.
after you have the movie, it's like who your stars in, and click on it, and then you can see all they've done. I'm like,
Yeah,
he's
gives you the IMDb
officially
or
been
whatever.
in everything, but yet nobody knows him. Kinda.
Isn't that crazy? There's a lot of actors that are like that. You're like, yeah, it's got the guy with the thing, and you're like, but he's been in like thousands and thousands of movies. It feels like, but he's not like the lead.
Yeah.
Like the tippy top lead.
Mhm.
That's crazy. So you have 3 ones. See, I go to like mine are totally different.
If you're gonna say, like, I'm gonna guess, Nightmare Before Christmas.
That's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Although
Actually, you would appreciate it. So
I'll watch it during both. Okay.
I got those welcome signs people get made for their front steps? It's like a big, long, tall piece of plywood.
Yeah.
Mine's Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do a normal one. I also wanted to put on the backside F off, but my neighbor said that they would get offended. I'm like, come on. I don't mean necessarily you, like every
Right.
day.
Just in general.
Generally, just go away. I even said, can I put go away?
Yeah, you can put go away. Yeah, I have
not
see when I was gonna
sweary.
do my front door that we were talking about, it was a toss up between the vampires from Nightmare Before Christmas. I
Mhm.
wanted to like rig it up and figure but I just have had so much crap happening, or it was Corpse Bride. So that one was
That's
absolutely
it. Patrick Wilson. That's that guy's name.
Patrick Wilson. Yeah.
He's in everything.
I have seen him in everything. You're right. He has that face that shows up in everything, but he's not like the top lead guy.
He should be. He's good.
But he should be. Yeah.
Mm.
But no, Nightmare Before Christmas, I usually watch more around Christmas, believe it or not.
I watch that Christmas. Okay, here's my Christmas lineup: Nightmare Before Christmas, Bad Moms, and Bad Santa. That's it. That is the only Christmas movies I've watched. I've never watched any of those cartoons because I was a very sensitive child. Seriously, I cried when Rudolph was treated badly. I
Yep.
cried when the Grinch
Frosty
went with
melts.
his dog. I cried when Frosty melts. And
Yep.
I'm like, I can't watch them. Even like the Jim Carrey Grinch, I couldn't do it because what if he's mean to the dog?
Right. The
Can't do it.
dog. It's always the dog.
And that's why I can't watch the first opening of John Wick 1 because of the dog.
The dog. I saw that. I almost turned it off. And
I
I
cried.
love like action movies. I love Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
As soon as they felt the need to not just describe it and show it, especially I've been an animal advocate my whole life.
Yes.
I've worked hard, blood, sweat, and tears to try and save animals. So
Mhm.
I'm a little more sensitive, I think, than maybe the average bear. I
Mhm.
almost shut it off.
It started happening, and I'm like, "Oh, his wife's dying." Then, "Oh, he got a puppy. That's so quick." And then all of a sudden, you hear, "Eek!" And I'm like,
Yep,
I just started bawling, and I'm like, "I can't watch it," and I turned it off, and I couldn't watch it, and then my husband's like,
same.
"It's great, you gotta watch it," because I love blowing up stuff and, like,
Yep.
they're violent movies. I love it all.
Now,
Um,
Mike was watching this,
but
it was
couldn't
like a Western movie, but it had Gina Carano, which is his crush, so
mm,
whatever.
mhm.
And, but they shoot the cow. I got up and walked out. Like, the bad guy walks up, he's trying to get them to come out of the house, and he shoots the cow. I
No.
was pissed.
Yeah. Well, I finally just watched the 4 John Wicks, because we went to see John Wick 4 in the theater, and I'm like, "Is there any other hint of dogs being injured in any other parts?" And he's like, "No." And I says, "Okay, so you watch that beginning, tell me when to come in, and then I'll start from there. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
know that the dog died. That's it."
that's
Couldn't
it.
watch it.
No,
And
it
John Wick
did.
is great, by the
Broke my
way.
heart.
If somebody came after my Gizmo, I swear to God, I'd go John Wick on their butt.
Same.
I wouldn't even think twice. I would use my car
Anybody
everything.
listening, I am a USPSA trained shot. Don't try
I got a gun
it.
license. I got my gun license.
I'm a
You don't
run and gunner, baby.
you
Don't
don't
mess
hurt
with me.
my fur babies.
Yeah, I have. So you still haven't covered any of them that I would watch.
Hmm. Well, I'm just gonna have to convince you. Alice Cooper kills somebody with a bicycle. Like,
I
if that
know.
doesn't make
And
you
I
wanna
love Alice Cooper. That was the first album my dad ever gave me was Alice
Oh,
Cooper, Welcome to
cool.
My Nightmare. And I felt probably why I fell in love. It was the first concert I ever went to was
Mm.
Alice Cooper.
But
Love
in the
Alice.
same breath, it's not obviously the visuals because it's from the '80s, it's not the
Right,
greatest. So
right.
I think you wouldn't necessarily be spooked out by that. It's the story that's cool.
Great 80s movie that's a horror movie is Christine.
I love that one.
Love that one. I actually had never seen that one either until the last maybe 10 years or so,
Mm.
which is crazy because I've been a car person my whole life. I'm telling you, that scene where she's on fire, I say
Mhm.
she because she's a person, and the car's coming in and she's on fire. I was like, "Ugh, that's a car, but holy
I
cow."
I kinda seen them all at once at that time, I seen Cujo, I seen, Christine, Firestarter. Oh, little Drew Barrymore is so good in that one.
I've never watched any of those.
She's crying for her pa oh
She's
my
like a baby.
god, it just made me cry. Yeah, I cry over horror movies. I love them, but, The Shining, who doesn't love The Shining?
I
Uh,
liked The Shining. It was
but
long,
Doctor
but it was
Sleep,
good.
I liked Doctor Sleep, and that was my inspiration of building myself a really cool top hat. But,
That is
but
I
definitely,
love it.
Doctor Sleep was well done. Well done, I was surprised.
I haven't seen that one. I don't even think I've heard of that one though.
Doctor Sleep is the, sequel to The Shining. It's
Oh!
it's the kid
Oh, with
grows up,
what's
Ian
his butt?
McGregor.
Ian McGregor, thank you.
Yeah, he's
No, I haven't
Danny
watched it
grown
yet.
up,
Oh, I'm
and
gonna have
he
to watch
basically has been turned into an
Mhm.
alcoholic because of his powers,
Yeah,
but he pulls himself out of that, and he uses it to help people, and, well,
right.
that hotel keeps a calling.
A movie ensues. I really wanna go to that hotel too.
Me
Even
too.
though even though, and I know that that particular character is not haunting the hotel, but that hotel is haunted,
Yes.
which I really
Abs
wanna go.
yes.
Oh, man. Yeah, now is the season. We're winding into the last week here where it's the Halloween week, and we will, now when does the remind me because 'cause I'm still getting new, Dark Cast, when does those Halloween episodes come out?
It's, I believe, Friday.
Fridays when
Was
they
was it
start?
I have it in my scheduled calendar because I'm that person. They come out starting Eastern Standard Time. I think it's midnight Eastern Standard Time on the 27th, which is this Friday, and they run through till Tuesday, Halloween. That
Awesome.
will that will mean I actually was telling my friend, because she kind of like, for your friends, they know what you do, but they don't
Right.
understand it at all. And I was saying to them, this is my worst week, guys. So don't text me. Don't
Just leave
call
me
me
alone.
because I'm going to either be doing shots underneath my desk, you know, in a fetal position, or
Right.
I'll just like rage, scream, and cry for no reason. So just don't even bother.
Just leave me
And
alone.
I says, I'll give you the example why. I put out an episode every Wednesday. There's 4 Wednesdays of this month. You know how many episodes I'm putting out this month, including the dark cast, which I contributed to?
8.
11.
Oh, you're crazy.
Fetal position under my desk doing shots
Yeah.
of tequila.
I did 2 for my own, and then I only contributed 1. I did, one of the monster episodes. I was like,
Oh,
"Oh
so
my
you
god,
contributed monsters? I did my own ghost story, and I did the
awesome."
tradition of, do you know how the lore behind people putting pins in candy came about?
I didn't know that was lore. I thought that really happened.
It doesn't really happen, but it happened one time.
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding? That was just dad's reason to take dad tax.
No, it was a guy trying to off his kids. Insurance money.
Yes. I remember that story. I do. It just took me a second. I remember that because they traced it back and they figured out it was, this whole
And
crazy
he
story.
used pixie sticks. Darn it. Ruining the pixie stick experience.
Dumb. Yes, I remember that. It took me, I remember I think I watched like a 60-minute special or something like that on it ages ago. That was crazy. How bad do you want to get rid of your kids to do that?
Well, and the thing, I guess that this is like in the 80s, right? So it's a lot of money for them. It was worth a bit more, but still, the insurance he threw was only 10,000 per kid.
That's nothing.
I know, even
nothing.
in the 80s. And then he upped it the week before to be 20 grand per kid. And it's 2 kids. Like, seriously, how is that going to go off your debts? Like, if you're going to kill somebody, make it worth more than 40 grand.
Well, you don't have to pay out all this money for their food and medical and
true. But he got himself into debt. He was $100,000 in debt. So obviously the guy couldn't do math well because 40,000 does not pay off 100,000.
Math is not mathing.
He's an optician. I wouldn't go see him to get my glasses. You need to know the math for that. So
yeah, I'd be concerned.
I get out, I can't see anything.
Yeah, all your prescription's not right.
Because you can't do math.
I did. So I've done a Mothman, and my first episode I ever did here on Creepy Confidential was Mothman.
Yes, I listened.
I re-rigged it and retold the story and changed things, so that it was more story instead of like story and then me blabbling about the story. It was kind of rechanging the story so that it was just a fun story to listen to. So I was kind of excited to do that. So I put Mothman. So you'll hear both of us, whoever is tuning in, you'll hear a little bit of both of our stories and our voices along for this week for Dark Cast as we kind of take us up through Halloween starting on Friday. And then and you'll see us post. I know I'll post them on my page. I'm sure Miss Brenda, she is one of the big wigs here at Dark Cast, as I like to call it. She is a bigger wig than I, that's for sure.
I just got time in. That's it.
Right. Time and rank. That's what that one goes for.
Yes.
And so you
get it, TI.
Yeah.
You guys get it.
So we will definitely be seeing those stories starting to pop up as Halloween comes. So you should never be without content taking you into the spooky week, because there are so many great storytellers that we have here on Darkcast.
Absolutely.
And just getting to cheat and look into we have like a little spreadsheet on who's doing what. And I was like, ooh, I want to listen to that one.
I'm like, that one.
So you guys will hear all kinds of stories. And then
everything from witches to monsters and cryptids to Halloween traditions to straight out ghost stories. It literally is everything. I'm looking forward to it.
Perfect Halloween, like collabs for everybody to bring a little bit of everything, because you never know, if you're out scooting around, you might actually see a cryptid, or you might see a ghost, or you never know what you're looking for.
Yes, you never know.
Now I know we've been gibby gabbing here for a little while, but that's okay. Is there anything else? Is there anything that you can't? We've been talking. I haven't even asked you. Is there anything that you wanted to kind of talk and tell the Creepy Confidential audience about that you have coming up?
Oh gosh, I'm planning to take a nap.
A nap. All of this talent exuding from her creepy fingers, and she's like,
I've been working my butt off this month. Honestly, October we put out a lot of content. As I said, it's honestly the most we've ever done, and so we actually. Well, I'm just finishing off November now because I'm always like being ahead. I'm that person.
I am a procrastination person.
Oh, that's where we differ.
I work under pressure.
I actually am on a radio show. I am every month. And I'm going to be hitting you up for January to cover me if you're into it. But it's called Weird Wednesdays, and it's out of Georgia. So I'm on there tomorrow. I'm telling some more ghost stories for Halloween, which is pretty cool. And then after that, I finally, when October 31st hits, it's spooky season is a little done. I'm going to the Pink concert in Montreal, and I'm taking a couple of days off and then going right back to it. So we're going to be talking some creepy stuff again in October, but one of them, we do also do like historical true crime. And this was one that I'm just going to be recording tomorrow afternoon. It's about Amber Alerts. So you know what an Amber Alert is.
Yeah.
Have you heard about how it came about?
No, I have not.
Sadly, Amber Alerts Save Lives, but just not Amber's is the name of the episode.
Oh.
Ah, that's the only hint you're getting. And it was named after a little girl named Amber. So we're telling her story, but we're also telling the story of some of the first lives that the Amber Alert saved, and it's pretty amazing. Like some of
Wow.
these stories are crazy.
I didn't
Crazy.
even know that there was a backstory to that.
Well, you know who actually came up with the idea was a massage therapist.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to tune in on that one because that just sounds like a wild story.
It's
How
it's
do we go from here to here to over here?
but you know, some of the greatest ideas that really do protect and save lives comes because somebody died.
Right.
And sadly, that's what
It's like
happened.
warnings on everything. There's a warning because somebody has done it or died from it.
Oh, some of the warnings I see on things now, it's like, seriously, really? You couldn't
Yeah.
figure this one out?
Yeah. Coffee is hot, people. Like, what? Come on.
Then again, I have a very unique sense of humor. It's like,
Yeah.
you haven't figured out at this point the coffee's hot?
Yeah. If you put it between your legs and burn your pee-pee or your, hoo-ha, that's kind of on
That's
you.
on you. I think there is a class action here in Canada that's happening recently, and it's because one product that said it had I can't remember what it was, but it was basically something to the effect of it was like with oranges, for example. And they were like, it's not orange enough. So they're suing and trying to
Oh
do a
my
class action. And I'm
God.
like, guys, it's packaged food.
Yeah.
You really think there's an orange in that?
Come on. Humans. I'm over humans. There's a handful that can stay. The rest, I don't think so.
But I wanted to thank you really quickly for firstly agreeing to do the collab with me, because as soon as I heard your show, I'm like, gotta do it. And secondly, I'm going to be kissing your butt really soon, hoping you might be interested in doing that radio show when I go to Vegas.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll tell you more off the air.
Okay.
But I really thank you because I really knew that we would do something cool. And honestly, you guys, this girl is
We're backwards.
amazing. I'm like, what'd you like to do? She gave an idea. I'm like, love it. And then she's like,
Yep.
I'm thinking we could do this and I could do that. I'm like, love it. And then she's like, oh, I have like art. What do you about this? And I'm like, love it. She goes, I'm like, what about names? She's
I
like,
got
I
it
was thinking
all.
this. I'm like, love it. It's so little work to work with you, and and I think a lot of it because we have just the same mindset, and it was absolutely lovely, and I want to do it again. To collaborate.
Now I have
with you
to go
again.
listen to the way that you did it.
Edit it.
You
Yeah.
took my stuff, and now I'm like, oh, now I gotta go see what you
And
did.
that's half the fun, isn't it?
Yeah, because it debuted for the video, and then we were here, so I haven't had a chance to go listen to it yet.
Well, I was listening to yours on YouTube right before, so
Yeah.
I'm
So I
like,
did a visualizer for it.
I like that. I should have thought of that. But go check it out. It is slightly different on each. And honestly, we got to do this again because it was a lot of fun.
I agree. So anybody who's checked out or listening, if you are watching this on the replay, I ask that you leave a little skull in the comments so we know that you've stopped by to check us out. All of Brenda's horrifying history information I have left down in the comment section, places that you can check her out. I like her Instagram because then that's an easy way to follow everything, which will take you to all of her things. But I've left more than just that down there. And Brenda, thank you for joining me here on Creepy Confidential After Dark. Taken, I would say, a little of your time, but I've taken quite a bit of your time. So thank you.
It's just fun. So thank you again for having me.
Not a problem. So creeps, stay tuned. We'll give you lots more creepy content. And again, thank you Brenda for joining us, and catch us next time here on Creepy Confidential After Dark.
Bye.
Bye kids. Have fun.